Hi everyone, and welcome to the Deck Wizard channel. Today, I'll be showing you how to turn your Steam Deck into a machine that can dual boot into both SteamOS and Windows 10 or 11, depending on your choosing. The benefits to this are being able to have access to both operating systems whenever you turn on your Steam Deck via just the power button, so that you can play your Steam library on SteamOS and games like Destiny 2, Fortnite, Lost Ark, etc., and access services like Xbox Game Pass on your Windows installation, as well as any old games from generations past, all while having your own custom boot screen that you can retheme to your liking. Achieving this was both challenging and rewarding, but I will be making sure to cover everything that I share with you all today in detail so that you understand the methods to do this and have your Steam Deck looking like mine here. We will be dividing this tutorial into two parts so that the process is easier to follow and you can decide as to whether you want to proceed with enabling the custom bootloader. For this tutorial, we will need 3 USB sticks, minimum of 8GB each, one for the SteamOS recovery image and one for Windows 10 or 11. In this tutorial, we will be covering Windows 11, however steps I'm going to show are very similar. Both of these can be downloaded from the links in the description from official sources. The third USB is for GParted, which we will be accessing after our SteamOS installation to alter our internal drive's partition to allow for our Windows installation. You can use other partition managers if you prefer, such as the KDE Partition Manager on SteamOS desktop, but for this tutorial we will be using GParted to achieve our dual boot. If you don't have 3 USB sticks, you can rewrite the images one after the other, or use a program like Ventoy for having all your images in one place. Link in the description. In addition, you will need a USB keyboard and a USB-C adapter, preferably one that charges the Steam Deck at the same time you are using it. Lastly, you will need the Windows Steam Deck drivers directly from Valve, which include the graphics, SD card reader, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi installations. Once these are downloaded, you will want to extract them all into their own folders to save time, before putting them onto a USB later when we get to our Windows installation. Links to all are in the description. Once we have successfully installed all of these, we will be going ahead and installing our UEFI boot manager onto the Steam Deck in the second part of this tutorial. The only USB you will need for this part is either a Windows 10 or 11 USB, so we can access a command prompt and trick Windows into booting our bootloader every time we turn on our Steam Deck. Please make sure to back up anything and everything you have been using on your Steam Deck, such as Steam library games, downloads, etc., as we will be completely wiping the operating system that comes with the Steam Deck and starting fresh. It is recommended to remove your microSD card from the Steam Deck so that you don't format it by mistake. With that all out the way, let's begin. First, we want to create our 3 USB sticks via visiting the websites listed in the description below. For SteamOS and GParted, I advise using Rufus, where you can simply drag and drop your ISO file onto Rufus and press start. Wait for those to finish and then visit either the Windows 10 or 11 media creation tool sites and use their tool, which downloads the latest image and writes to your USB. Depending on your internet connection, this can take a while due to the Windows ISO averaging around 5GB. Once you have your USBs ready, come over to your Steam Deck and plug in both your USB-C adapter and keyboard. Plug in your SteamOS recovery USB. Hold volume down and press power once, like so, to access the boot menu. Here, we want to select our USB stick, which will have appeared in the list. Depending on the speed of your internal drive and USB, It can take 1 to 5 minutes for the SteamOS recovery to load. When it has loaded, you will see a desktop screen. Here, we want to select Re-image Steam Deck and press Proceed. This process can take up to 10 minutes, so sit back and wait until it is finished and press OK. Once the Steam Deck has rebooted itself, go through the setup for your time zone and Wi-Fi password until updates are installed by SteamOS. This could take a moment or a while depending on your internet connection, unless it's like mine, in which case it will take forever. After the updates are complete, the Steam Deck will reboot, and here you will be asked to sign in to your Steam account and do your authentication method via SteamGuard. Next, we will be partitioning our internal drive to allow for our Windows installation. Take your SteamOS recovery USB out of the USB-C dock if you haven't already, and plug in your GParted USB. Hold the volume down button and press power once to access the boot menu. Here, choose the GParted USB that has appeared and select. For this part, you will need to turn your Steam Deck portrait, landscape and portrait again in order to view the stages properly, as you'll see me doing on screen. Here, select the first choice and turn the deck landscape. Select Don't Touch Key Map. We want to choose the digit corresponding to our language. For English, we will type 02 and enter, followed by 0 and enter. Now we arrive at one of the most important stages of this tutorial, and pay extra close attention to what I am performing on screen here. We want to turn our deck portrait, and when GParted has fully loaded, click in the top right hand corner to select our internal drive. Here we will see a list of partitions for our internal drive. This is the partition table created via the SteamOS recovery. We can see partition 8 home in the list, which will be the largest size partition. Here we want to right click this partition and select Resize Move, which will bring up this box for resizing the partition. Now, I am sure you have given some thought as to how big you want your Windows partition to be. In my case, with a 256GB internal drive, I'll be resizing the home partition to just under 100GB and leaving an unallocated partition for Windows at 128GB. This will allow me to play Destiny 2 and install other software alongside having a bit of breathing room for the OS itself. To apply these changes, we must click the green tick in the toolbar, and GParted will perform the task of resizing our home partition and leaving our unallocated partition resized as specified. Once this is complete, go ahead and close GParted and shut down the Steam Deck via the exit button on the desktop. Turn your deck back to landscape briefly and swap your GParted USB for your Windows USB. Hold volume down and press power to bring up the boot menu once again and select your Windows USB. Turn your deck portrait again while waiting for the Windows installation to load. Once you're at the beginning screen, we want to select Install Now. Select I don't have a product key. Windows 11 Pro. I accept and next. Install Windows only. Here we will be asked which partition we want to install Windows, so scroll to the bottom of this list and select the unallocated space created in GParted earlier and press New, followed by Apply and OK. After a moment, you can scroll down and see our unallocated partition is now called Partition 10. Select this partition and press Next. Ignore the prompt and press OK. Now, Windows will perform the first part of installation, and shortly after, the Steam Deck will be rebooted. Once the deck loads into the next stage of install, we will see the Windows 11 logo appear. We can select and confirm our country and press Yes twice. Skip the keyboard layout, and to make the install faster, select I don't have internet and continue with limited setup. Enter your username and skip entering a password. For these steps, follow along with my choices for the best options. Once you've selected No for all of these, Windows will finish installing and bring you to the desktop. So with the Windows desktop now available, the only thing we want to do is right-click the desktop and select Display Settings. Scroll down the window and change your orientation from Portrait to Landscape. Now your Steam Deck is finally the right way round, we can test to make sure everything has worked. So go ahead and shut down Windows. Here, we can hold volume down and press power to once again get into the boot menu and choose SteamOS. Have a look round and try rebooting a few times. Here we can see that dual booting is working with SteamOS and Windows 11. Go ahead and shut down SteamOS so that we can install our 4 drivers from Valve on Windows 11. Navigate to where your drivers are located and start with the graphics driver in this folder called Arith. Choose Setup once, but turn off the Windows security notifications now by sliding the bar to the bottom and confirming. This will get annoying later if you don't disable it now. So choose Setup and wait for the installer to load, confirming the Steam Deck GPU, and hit Install. This process takes about 1 to 2 minutes and a window will appear. Just press Install and the screen will flash indicating the graphics driver has been installed successfully. So here, hit Finish. Next is the SD card driver located in the BayHub folder. Go through this and run the installer as you would normally. At the end, don't restart the computer and press Finish. Afterwards, choose the third folder and simply double-click the install driver file and the Bluetooth driver will be taken care of. Finally, choose the RTW-LAN folder and select Setup. Follow this as normal and the Wi-Fi will be installed with the correct drivers. Now all the drivers are installed, we can choose to pause here and carry on using the Steam Deck with the method of holding volume down and pressing power every time we want to access SteamOS and pressing power to boot into Windows. Or we can continue to the next part of this tutorial where we'll be installing a custom bootloader onto our Steam Deck that enables us to select between SteamOS and Windows with our own background and icons at one press of the power button. Make sure to follow along with my steps for this part, as the process must be completed in an orderly fashion in order to operate correctly. It may also help to use the same naming conventions as myself, so as to avoid confusion if you don't understand something. As for the custom bootloader we will be installing, visit Rod's Books Refine page linked in the description, where some further reading is recommended if you would like to learn more about how this is all achieved in greater detail. First, we want to hold volume down and power to bring up our boot menu and boot into SteamOS. Once we are in SteamOS, press the Steam button and go to the desktop mode. When everything looks like it has loaded, close Steam by right-clicking the icon at the bottom and select Exit Steam. Select System Settings from the icon next to Start and navigate to Users. Here we must change the user password to something simple. Here I chose PassW, which is 5 letters and nice and easy to remember. Once the password is saved, close the window and press Start, System, and bring up a console window. Now, for this part and onwards, we will be doing a little bit of typing, and everything entered must be exact to what I'm outputting on screen and will be case sensitive. To begin, we want to type sudo btrfs property set -ts space / space ro false and press enter. Enter the password we just set, so passw, and press enter. It will look like nothing has been typed, so don't be alarmed if nothing is appearing. What this line has allowed us to do is disable the read-only of our drives that SteamOS populated and allows us to write to them. Next, type sudo pacman hyphen key space hyphen hyphen init init and press enter. Wait a moment and type sudo pacman hyphen key space hyphen hyphen populate arch linux and press enter. Next we want to type sudo pacman hyphen hyphen capital S refind. Make sure the S is a capital S and press enter. Here you will be asked if you want to download Refind onto your Steam Deck. Choose yes by typing Y and enter. After a brief moment and Refind downloads, we want to type sudo refind hyphen install to install Refind to our UEFI partition. This will be the SteamOS side of installation done for the moment. So we want to close the windows we've been using and shut down the Steam Deck. Hold volume down and power to get back into the boot menu, and you will see a new option has appeared, the Refind Boot Manager. We can select this if we want, but for now it is best that we get our Steam Deck looking nice and fancy and also stop using the volume down power button option whenever we want to use our dual boot. So, boot back into Windows 11. If you're following this tutorial for Windows 10, the same steps apply aside from minor differences when you have to right click on things. Once you're on the desktop, click Search in the toolbar and find Command Prompt. Don't press Enter and instead select Run as Administrator. In the admin command prompt, type mount vol b : space / lowercase s and press enter. This has now given us access to the hidden partition where we'll be making the magic happen. Before we close, we must type power cfg.exe space / hibernate off. Otherwise, whenever we try to shut down Windows with our next step, the Steam Deck will continue booting back into Windows instantly. So, once that is typed, press enter and close the command prompt. Next, we want to download a program called Explorer++, which is linked in the description. We can either download this on the Steam Deck or elsewhere and transfer via USB. Extract the downloaded folder, as I have here, and enter the folder for Explorer++. Here, we must right-click Explorer++ and run as administrator every time we want to use it. Once you're in Explorer++, extra close attention must be paid towards what I'm performing on screen. We'll be taking it slow so that we get things right first time. Double-click the drive called ESP-B and then enter the UEFI folder. This is the main culprit for Windows booting first time every time, and where we're about to change the way things work completely. Right click on the boot folder and rename this to boot.old. Next, right click on an empty space and create a new folder. Rename this folder to boot. After you have done the folder stage, come over to this PC or my computer and enter the D drive called UEFI. UEFI again, and here you will see the Refind folder that was installed by SteamOS earlier during our console commands. Enter the folder and you can see the UEFI file that was the refined boot manager instance on our boot menu. We want to right-click this file and rename to bootx64.efi. Afterwards, we want to right-click the refined config file, open with and choose Notepad, making sure to select Always use this to open config files. We will see quite a long Notepad file where many configurations for the bootloader can be changed, and I'd advise not to alter anything other than what I am showing unless you know what you are doing. Scroll down about quarter of the way and you will see 4 resolution entries. Here we want to delete the hash symbol next to resolution 3. This is so our boot manager becomes landscape when we activate it shortly. Now, this part is important. We want to scroll down to the very end of the refined config in Notepad, and after the curly bracket, press Enter twice and type exactly as on screen. Menu entry, Windows, curly bracket, Enter, press the Tab key on your keyboard and type loader /EFI deck boot mgfw.efi. This is the fallback EFI file that Refined will present on screen for when we make our Steam Deck bootable. Next, press Enter for a new line, tab and type icon /EFI boot icons os_win8.png. Make sure the 2 boots are different. Loader should have a capital B and icons should have a lowercase b. Press Enter and close this entry with a curly bracket. Once you have altered the config file, press either Ctrl S or File and Save. Close the config for now. In our Refined folder, we want to drag and highlight all the files and press Copy. Close this folder and paste the files into B EFI boot. Now simply close Explorer++ and shut down the system. Now, we're almost there, but not done yet. If you try to turn on the Steam Deck, you will see that we still boot into Windows, even with all the changes we've just made. So let's just take a moment to understand what we have just done with the B drive. Windows as the default boot always searches for the boot mgfw.efi file whenever we turn on the Steam Deck located in the Microsoft folder. So how do we avoid this? Well, if we rename the Microsoft folder to Deck as specified in our refined config, then Windows will be unable to find boot mgfw.efi. From here, Windows will search for the fallback EFI file called bootx64.efi, located in the boot folder. So, by replacing the boot folder where bootx64 is located and renaming our refined boot manager EFI, we are telling Windows to boot from the refined EFI file instead. So to do this, we need to do 2 things on Windows and SteamOS. First, plug in your Windows USB and hold volume down and press power, selecting your Windows USB. Wait for it to load while turning your deck portrait. Once you're on the installation screen, we want to press Shift and F10 to bring up a command prompt. Mount the B drive by typing mount vol b:/s and press Enter. Next, we need to type cd /d b:/EFI and press enter. This will now be the folder where we are currently. You can see we are in this folder by typing dir to see the list of directories inside the UEFI folder on our B drive. What we want to do here is rename the Microsoft folder to DEC as specified in the refined config. Make sure to type this with the capital M and D, otherwise it won't work. Type ren Microsoft DEC and press enter. Type dir and enter, and you can see our Microsoft folder is now called DEC, and Windows will be unable to find the bootmgfw.efi file, and instead boot to the renamed, refined bootx64 EFI file found in our boot folder. So close everything and the Steam Deck will restart. What will happen is you will see the refined boot manager in portrait mode with none of what we have just done working as it should. But this is easily fixed by selecting the first icon in the list called steamcl.efi and booting by pressing A. This is the EFI file for SteamOS that boots our operating system, like our EFI file for Windows. Once SteamOS has loaded, press the Steam button and go to the desktop. Here we want to open a console window again via Start and System. Now type sudo EFI boot mgr. Enter your password and press enter. Here you will see a list and what is currently set to boot first by our Steam Deck. We can see refined boot manager is the first option via boot order, which is great but not what we want with our custom boot, which is actually the second option in the list, EFI hard drive. So to apply this, we type sudo EFI boot mgr hyphen the letter O 1,0,3 and press enter. Now we have fixed the issue of booting into our portrait refined and instead boot into the refined we copy and pasted earlier into our B drive with the config changes. Now shut down or restart the Steam Deck and you will see the landscape version of refined appear upon turning on your Steam Deck. Mine is looking like this because I swapped my background PNG file while filming. I'll now show you how you can get your Steam Deck looking how you want, and honestly I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with in terms of designs and icons in getting their boot manager looking how they want it to. The left option on the boot manager is always SteamOS via the steamcl.efi file, and the right will be Windows via the bootmgfw.efi file, all under the bootx64.efi currently running. So select the right choice from Refined to boot into Windows again. You will see that there is a slight graphical glitch when loading Windows, and we are looking for ways on how to fix this. It only lasts a moment before the login and desktop screen appears. Once on the desktop, open command prompt as admin and type mount vol b:/s and press enter. Navigate to where Explorer++ is located, right-clicking and running as admin to open. Enter the B EFI boot directory and create a folder called Themes. We want to paste the refined minimal theme found in the description into our themes folder. In here you can see I have simply replaced the default background.png file with one of my own made in Photoshop. Ensure you have the correct resolution when saving and ensure it is saved as background.png. In the icons folder next to background we can see all the icons that the theme will display for various operating systems. You can see I have created two icons called OS_unknown for Steam and OS_Win8 for Windows. Make sure these icons are 128 by 128 when you save them in Photoshop. To have these icons with our background, we drag and copy these custom images into our theme folder and overwrite the originals. From here, we want to backtrack to B, EFI, boot, open our refined config and type the following above our Windows menu entry that we wrote earlier. Include themes/refined minimal, or whatever your theme is called, /theme.conf. Save the configuration file, and once you're happy with your custom icons, we can go ahead and reboot or shut down the Steam Deck one last time. Pressing the power button, you can see our Steam Deck is now running as we expect it to run, with our own background and icons for SteamOS and Windows. If you ever want to customize the background, resize icons, when you want to freshen things up a bit, just repeat the retheming steps for replacing files in Windows via mounting the B drive and using Explorer++ to achieve your desired look. Now, before we end the video, I want to explain a few things regarding this method. The Steam Deck bootloader will now always auto-boot the last operating system you were using if you don't make a choice within 10 to 15 seconds. To avoid this and stay on the bootloader screen, move the D-pad between choices and you will remain on the bootloader. So go ahead and load up either SteamOS or Windows and get installing all of your games now that you have the Steam Deck configured to your liking. I hope this tutorial has been helpful for getting your Steam Deck dual booted with a custom bootloader that you can change to your liking. You can support my work by subscribing to the channel, liking this video, following me on Twitter, or joining the Deck Wizard Discord. I also have Ko-Fi and Patreon in the description if you would like to support me through there. If you have any questions, please post a comment down below, and alongside myself, I am sure we can all work together to help each other with any issues that arise. Feel free to join the Discord if you're having any issues or want to have a chat about games, which I'm always up for, to be honest. Until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.